असाइनमेंट अपलोड किए. One is the practice problem that we have discussed in the previous lecture, जो हमने लास्ट लेक्चर में हमने डिस्कस किया था. एग्जाम्पल मैंने जिसको बोला था कि आप लोग बनाएंगे तो एक असाइनमेंट तो वो है. देयर इज नो डेडलाइन फॉर दैट पर्टिकुलर असाइनमेंट बट यू हैव टू सबमिट इट. सो आई होप कि ये कोर्स के एंड, जो थ्योरी लेक्चर्स के एंड तक तो आप सबमिट कर दोगे वाला असाइनमेंट. सबमिशन इज कंपल्सरी. देयर इज नो डेडलाइन फॉर फर्स्ट प्रैक्टिस असाइनमेंट. सो प्रैक्टिस असाइनमेंट जितने भी अपलोड होंगे they won't have any deadline. कोई डेडलाइन नहीं होगी, बट कोर्स सबमिशन इज कंपल्सरी. एंड क्योंकि सबमिशन इज कंपल्सरी का मीनिंग ये है कि आई टेक सम असेसमेंट, माइनर असेसमेंट फ्रॉम देयर आल्सो, कि किसी ने सबमिट किया है नहीं किया है. दैट आई विल आल्सो चेक. लैब you can assume it as a theory assignment, जो लैब असाइनमेंट्स के नाम से मैंने अपलोड किया. प्रोग्रामिंग असाइनमेंट फर्स्ट, यू कैन डू इट एट योर ओन पेस. जो फर्स्ट असाइनमेंट है जो मैंने अपलोड किया है प्रैक्टिस प्रॉब्लम वाला, वो is not basically on the object oriented programming, but just to work with Java you have to do that assignment. So just for the Java practice, that assignment that you have. And okay, so let me share where were we. So last time we have discussed about classes and objects, and एक एग्जांपल हमने देखा था, the object class, and we have seen a different approaches to create object and adding to distances. And we have seen how we can pass the object as an argument and how we can return the objects from the methods. This was the last we have discussed in the last lecture. एक बीच में एक छोटा सा पॉइंट भी आया था कि जब हमने डिस्कस किया कि you can use command line arguments. So basically your main method takes string array of strings, and that you can pass when you compile or when you run the Java program. So when you run, after the main class name, whatever the string that you write, each is substring, that is each word will go to the array. So all will go to args0, argument 0, and the on one index, best in second index, and so on. So you can pass the strings on the command line also. Passing arrays to method. Okay, so obviously मुझे जहाँ तक पता है किसी ने लेक्चर 2 का जो बेसिक्स जो मैंने अपलोड किया था और बीच में मैंने बोला था कि आप लोग जाके देखना, आपने नहीं देखा होगा, इतना मुझे श्योरिटी है कि नहीं देखा होगा. उसमें एरेज का डिक्लेरेशन थोड़ा सा अलग है in Java. In Java, array is a class, and whenever you create an array, it's create an object. So just give you a hint. हम वापस थोड़ा सा बैक चलते हैं उस स्लाइड पे. तो once again, हम वापस जंप करेंगे वहां जिस स्लाइड पे थे हम. So type of array in Java, so you can either declare single dimensional array or multi-dimensional array. Now the syntax to declare array in Java is either you can follow The three approaches. You can write data type and square brackets that are closer to data type return and the array name, or the square brackets closer to the array name, or you can use square brackets after the array name, that usually you do in other programming languages, but all three syntaxes are fine. For example, if you're writing double square brackets smile is, this is the preferred way, having square brackets in between the data types and array name. However, you can use the conventional way that you use another programming language. Again, it works, but Java. So when we talk about conventions of programming language, the preferred way is this. However, there is no error if you are using it after the array name. This is the declaration part, and the instantiation part. That's two ways. One that you use in other programming language, that is you put the initializer list in curly braces, and since Java array is an object, so you can again create an array reference that will point to the array object, and with the same thing, new keyword, class name, and instead of small brackets, so just like when you create an object and you give the arguments, here you have the square brackets, and inside that you write the size. So basically it goes like this. You write data type, square brackets, an array reference variable, and this is the declaration part. And for the initialization, you can write array reference variable, new data type, and you give the size. The first line is not creating an array, it is just creating a reference of that array. If you want to create an array in the memory, in the heap memory that Java uses for the objects, you have to write this line. So this is the declaration part, and this is the instantiation part. You can merge this two line in the same line. That is, you can write data type, square brackets, array reference variable, and new data type and the size. One thing to be noticed here, unlike C and C++, when you write size on the left hand side, or there is only one place that is you write on the left hand side, but here you write the size on the right hand side following the new keyword and the data type. So never put size on the left hand side. So this is an example. We have class test array, public static void main that takes argument state args, and line number 4 is creating an integer type of array. Data type is int a square brackets is equal to new int data type and the square brackets, and you are putting the size 5. So that is, you are writing declaration and instantiation both in a single line. And since array is a class, so it provides some properties. One of the properties is length. So a dot length, so you can get the length of the array. So if you see system out dot println a, if you print, so you are printing ai and you are going to the length of a array. So always keep this in your mind. This is the instantiation and declaration part of array in Java. You can separate it out. You can separate the declaration part and instantiation part, and again you can work with array as usual you do in the other programming languages. Again, example that fills the array with some random numbers. So for that you have a random class in java.util package. So Java, outside Java, inside Java there is a sub package called util. Inside that sub package we have random.class file, and from from that file you can call, so you can import that file, that is class, that is random, and you can use that random whenever you want to use a class. You create an object of that class, that is random, and the object reference name is equal to new, and the constructor, it is random. And with the random objects you can create a you can generate the random numbers. For example, if you want to generate next, so integer values, you can call next int method, and you can pass the limit. Let's say here we are passing 100, so it will generate a random number between from 0 to 99, and you are just adding one, so 0 should not be generated. That's the idea of adding one, otherwise fine. System auto println AI, it will print the value of AI, so it's just printing the random numbers here on the terminal. So many of 5 numbers, you can practice it out randomly. Up number input leke you can write. So going to the part, okay, so printing the identity hash map. So whenever you create a class, and when, whenever you write a class and whenever you create an object, basically object created into the inside a heap memory, and identity hash map is the actually identity of that object. So if you create a class, and if you just print the name of the class using system out println, basically it will print uh, class name at the rate and some hash code, and that is the identity of the object. Similarly, you can create the hash, check the hash map. For example, if you want to print the hash code, let's say we have created an object equal to new int 100 साइज का, जैसे आप सिस्टम आउट प्रिंटलन ए करते हो, मतलब सिर्फ आपने एरे का नाम दिया, रेफरेंस वेरिएबल नाम दिया, so you'll see a hash code is printed, and that hash code start with the class name. Since array, the array is of integer type, so for integer class we have I, and at the rate and some hash code. One more thing to, for each data type, जो आपने पता नहीं आपने पढ़े हैं कि नहीं फर्स्ट वाली स्लाइड में, for each data type you have a separate class also. So for int, so if you are writing just int, this is a int data type, and for int we have an integer class also, that is capital INTEGR. Similarly, for double we have a class double. For string we have string, for string we have a string class, and boolean for we have a boolean class. So we have a one-to-one class for each data type, and those classes are called wrapper classes in Java. We'll talk about it later. ओके, मुझे लगा किसी ने कुछ पूछा, ठीक है. So we're not going. Declaration and instantiation you can do in a single line also, as you are doing in other programming languages like C and C++. That also works here. So either you can use the new and data type and the size of this, and otherwise the simplest way. Multi-dimensional array in Java, you can, again the syntax is same. Syntax is this: you can use two square bracket in between the data type and the array reference variable, closer to the data type or the closer to the reference variable,
or you can use this two square brackets after the array reference variable, or you can put one square bracket in between these two and other square bracket after the array name. So all are fine. This four are fine. You can use any one of these. So for example, int, again, you should not give the array size or two-dimensional array size or three-dimensional array size on the left hand side. You should give the array size on the right hand side only. So this is creating, so this part is declaration part and this part is instantiation part. It is creating an array, two-dimensional array having 3 rows and 3 columns. Okay. Slide is visible now? Okay. एक तो क्लास भी सुबह सुबह की है, आपके लिए सुबह सुबह है, क्लास भी सुबह सुबह की है और ऊपर से किसी का कुछ रिस्पांस नहीं आ रहा है, तो मुझे बीच में एक बार डाउट हो गया कि ओके, गोइंग अगेन. सो नाउ in Java arrays can be multi-dimensional. So two-dimensional array is array of arrays actually, and in two-dimensional array need not to be rectangular like other programming language. It should not be it should not be rectangular. Each row can have a different length. So for example, if you have declared a array, two-dimensional array, let's say name is a and a you are instantiated with new int 5 and the second one is blank. So one more thing, you have to give the row size and you can skip the column size. So at least you have to give the row size, because each row can be instantiated later. So for example, a of 0 first row, you can give a different size, that is new int 1, that it will, the first row will have only one column, second row will have 2 columns, and the third row will have 3 columns, and fourth row will have 5 columns, and fifth row has 6 columns, 5 columns also. So you can give separate length to each row in a multi-dimensional array in Java. So in that case, you have to give the row size. So if you want to put it in a single line, so you can create a two-dimensional array by specifying the number of rows, and that row value should be a constant value before declaring this. So the row, not constant value, because so row value should be known, and for each row you can create an array specifying the number of columns by using a simple loop. So I think इसको बताने की जरूरत नहीं है मुझे. If you are declaring an array, two-dimensional array with size 4,5, so the values, how it goes, first cell 0, 0, the first value determines the row and the second value determines the column. So left index actually determines the row and right index determines the column. And instead of having Java way to declaring an array, you can use the usual notation that you follow in other programming language, that inside the initializer list you can have each row mentioned separately. So again, if you're just using print instead of println, it won't change the line. To change the line, you can use println. This is a basic example that you usually do when you work with the two-dimensional array, that writing a program for adding two matrices. So you can, if you want to just practice Java syntax and Java conventions, you can write this program. And you can take input, the array inputs from users, and you can also check whether to have the same dimensions. And multiplication of two matrices. So this was the array part that I know you आपने नहीं देखा होगा, तो मैंने छोड़ दिया था उसको कि आप देख लोगे. मैं वापस चलता हूँ उस स्लाइड पे जहाँ पे हम पहले थे. We're talking about the classes, and so we have seen Java follows the call by value concept. So that is, the value is sent instead of reference. However, in case of arrays, actually arrays are the objects, and the copy of reference is passed instead of a reference. So unlike other programming languages, here, for example, you have created an array in line number 6. One second, let me. So if you see, we have created an array at line number 6 of size 10, and we are taking the value in this array by user, just calling the nextInt method from the object of scanner class. And line number 13, what we are doing, we are passing that array in a function called find sum, which will actually create the, which will actually do the sum of all the elements, and we are printing the sum. Now see, we have defined this find sum here, and again, just to remind you, because we are working with only one class and there is no global functions concept is here, we are writing the function also inside the same class, but to make it efficient, we are writing all the functions as a static. So static function can call a static other static methods directly. So find sum method is declared, and inside that the usual code for the adding the value of this, and it is returning the total. So that's how you can work with array. You can pass it out, and the sum is printed. This is not the important part. Now the Java passes references, but also references by also the value. So if you see here, we have declared the array having 3 values, and we are instantiating the value of arrays from line number 11 to 18. So what we are doing, we are just filling the array. We are going from 0 to 2, and for number of 0, we are putting I plus 1. That is so number 0 will be 1, number 1 will be 2, and number 2 will be 3. If I is equal to 2, we are printing number I, else we are printing number I. So basically it will print I. It's just for the this part. We are not concerned with this. So basically outside the first line that we have printed, that we are outside the method, that is we are inside the main method, and we are modifying the array. So we have written a function modify array, and we are passing this number and this array into the modify array. And before that, we are also printing the reference of array. Reference of array means identity hash map. So this line will print the identity hash map just to check the identity hash map of this. And the modify array, inside the modify array, inside the method, we are changing the value, all the values to -10 now, and we are printing the reference, that is against the identity hash map of the value, the formal parameter that we are using to capture that array. Since arrays are the objects here, so basically when you pass an array, it passes the reference of array as a value. So unlike other programming languages, here the value, if you print the identity hash map of number and the value, you will see both identity hash map are same. So you are passing the reference also as a value. So the outside the method, the value that we have given, that 1, 2, 3, and inside the method we have changed the value, that is -10, -10, -10, and the value that we are printing, so reference is also the same. That is, you are not working locally inside the method. In case of array, you are changing the content of the object also. The modified version, just to give you an idea of that, कि आपने outside the method पहले value assign की 1, 2, 3, उसी में आपने reference print किया identity hash map, आपने method को call किया modified array, and after calling the method and assigning it -10, -10, -10 at each position, you are again outside the method, जब वापस method से return होंगे आप, so you are again printing a value just to check कि क्या हो रहा है, and the same code that we have seen last time. So outside the method we have 1, 2, 3. The identity hash map was I @ and some hash code, and inside the method we have changed the value -10, -10, -10, and inside the method we have identity hash map which is same to the argument that we have passed the array, and outside the method you will see again the values are changed. So normally it's so earlier I told you that it is only Java, so it is like call by value supported in Java, but in case of references, the copy of references actually pass. So another example, so basically Java is passed by value, not call by value. So it's passed by value, or just to rephrase it, passed by reference value. और इसको अगर हम और भी अच्छे से बोलें, so we can call it pass by copy of the variable value. So that's how calling works in Java. There is another keyword. So we have seen static keyword. Static keyword we have just to recap, हमने उस keyword का use दो जगह किया था. One with the variable, instance variable, and whenever you are putting, whenever you are using with the instance variable, it will create the property of class instead of the objects. So, and we have used the static keyword with the methods also. And in Java, using the static keywords actually gives the memory efficient code. That is, we don't need to create the objects. The properties actually goes to the or associated with the class, not the object. So we don't have to create the object. So we don't have to waste the heap memory. So that's the memory efficient terminology in Java. There is another keyword which is this. This is a reference variable that refers to the current object. So when we'll see the inheritance and polymorphism, we'll see how so what do you mean by the current object actually. So this refers to an object, and this refers to actually the current object. So there are lots of uses of Java keyword, this keyword. So if you are using simply this, so this keyword can be used to refer the current class instance variable, that is the current object. If you are using this and the brackets, small brackets, that it can be used to invoke the current class constructor, and it can also be used to invoke current class method implicitly, or it can also be passed in an argument if you are passing to as an argument in a method call. So basically you are passing the current object, and it can be passed as an argument in the constructor call also, and it can also be returned from the methods. Basically whatever the object, the current object is, this actually a reference variable that refers to that object. Whenever we talk about objects, we talk about state and behavior. So state is the current value of the instance variable, and the behavior is the methods associated with the object. So now, one more thing. So this keyword, when we use to refer the current class instance variable, and the convention is to you should use this, because if there is an ambiguity between the instance variables and the parameter, this keyword resolve the problem of ambiguity. So just to understand this, so see this example. In this example, we have a class student, and the properties associated with the class student is ID and name. Fine. So these are the properties. Whenever you will create an object, a separate value of this ID and name will be associated. And you have defined a constructor, student 10, and you're using two parameters. If you observe, parameters को भी हमने सेम नाम दिया है, जो लोकल पैरामीटर्स जो कंस्ट्रक्टर के हैं उसको हमने सेम नाम दिया जो हमारा इंस्टेंस वेरिएबल थे, and you are assigning the parameter value to id. So basically you are assigning this id to the properties id, and you are assigning name to name. So here the ambiguity is coming in the reference variables. You are writing 6 and line 7, so though it is not there's nothing wrong in it, but when inside the main method, when you create the objects, let's say you have created the object s1, and you are passing student 10, 18 and Virat. So you're passing id is 18, and you're passing the name is Virat. So basically क्या होना चाहिए था, होना ये चाहिए था कि 18 should be assigned to the property of object s1, that is id आपकी 18 होना चाहिए थी, और नेम उससे क्या होना चाहिए था, विराट. But if you print, so suppose you're calling the function display that will print id and name of that particular object, and if you're calling the display function from the s1, it is printing 0 and null instead of 18 and Virat. So this is due to the name ambiguity that is arising during the line number 6 and 7. So to resolve it, we use this keyword to resolve whether it is a parameter or whether it is a instance variable or property. So for that you use this keyword. So basically this line should be used with this keyword. So I think नीचे example इसका है. So instead of writing this id is equal to id, name is equal to name, if you are keeping the parameters in the constructor and the properties variable name same, so you can use this keyword. So just to resolve it, whether that is this id means the object's property, and if you are not writing it, it is the formal parameter, and this dot name is equal to name. So this name is actually the property of the object, and this name is the parameter. So now if you just modify that particular small programs but using this keyword, then this will give you the correct output. Any question till now? So why we have passed system.in as an argument. So where, let me check it. हमने so किस क्लास किस जगह मतलब कौन सी स्लाइड में नितिन? स्लाइड नंबर 35. ओके. Okay, so I think आपने starting lecture में किया हुआ. So scanner class is a built-in class that we use for the taking input from the user, and the constructor, the object that we create for scanner class, the constructor of the scanner class takes argument which is system.in. Basically, system is a class, and in is a static member of that class, and it is an actually object of that class. So this in and this is in are different. So this in is actually you defined in, and this in is actually an object of input stream. So basically, a scanner constructor takes input stream class ka object as an argument in the constructor. So that's the syntax of a scanner constructor actually. Scanner class constructor. So we have seen the parameters, that is formal arguments and the instance variable are same. That's why we are using this keyword to distinguish between the local and variable and the instance variable. जस्ट सबको जगाने के लिए सबसे वापस पूछ रहा हूँ कि यहाँ तक सबको क्लियर है? So you can just write yes or no, or if you have any doubt, you can ask. Okay. Now, this keyword can also be used to invoke the current class constructor. So now if you see this example, we have created a class student 13, and we have again the same two parameters, the same two instance variables, that is ID and name, the property of the objects of student. And we have a default constructor, student 13, because it is not taking any parameter. So we have default constructor explicitly defined, and it is printing default constructor is invoked. So we have just only printed line inside this, and we have a parameterized constructor. In that constructor, we are taking int ID and name, and in the line number 7, you see we are writing this and the brackets. So this particular line number 7, will invoke the constructor, the default constructor. And normally it is used when you write an efficient program, and when you want to have a modularity in your program, when suppose you are creating a software, you are creating object oriented program software for the record maintenance of students, and that student class have the properties like name, address, phone number, father detail, mother detail, and all the usual details you have. Now if all the details we pass into the constructor, then suppose if any one, and we have only one constructor, एक ही constructor है जिसमें let's say हमारे पास 7 instance variable है, सातों instance variable को हमने declare कर रखा है inside the parameterized constructor. Now it might be possible that कि कोई ऑब्जेक्ट हम क्रिएट करें स्टूडेंट का और उसके पास 7 की जगह 6 डिटेल्स ही हों, तो using only one constructor will not won't be sufficient. Suppose we want to create only objects is only six parameters, so we can have n number of different constructors here, and you can always pass the value from one constructor to another constructor, and you can call the constructors via this keyword. This will actually first it will print the default constructor is invoked, and then it will assign the value. So the line number 14 and 15 is creating two objects. So whenever you are creating two objects, first it will both the objects first will call the default constructor, and which will print default constructor is invoked, and the display function will print the values of this. So this can also be used to call the constructor. So useful example is given here. So suppose you have two parameterized constructor, and suppose one value, if for particular one we don't have a city name, though obviously we know from where Virat is, but still suppose we don't have city name, then it will call the constructor with having two parameters, and in case of student E2, it will call this. Now avoiding now to avoid the code redundancy, we can pass these two values to the upper constructor by using this constructor call. So we don't have we no need to initialize ID and name again in the second constructor. Sir, is this with similar to self of Python? Yes. Yes, they are similar. So okay, I think time is up, so we'll see some more example of this, uses of this in the next class. And I have already shared the slides. You can check other users also and do practice. Okay, thank you. कोई क्वेश्चन है तो पूछ सकते